Welcome everyone to another live stream draw along here on drawingtutorialsonline.com. My name is Matthew Archambault. In today's class, welcome Leah and welcome Kiwi the Clown. What today's class is going to be all about is I'd like to draw from some random photo that I found on the, let me just make sure I have some sound here. Let's see. Hold on now, people. How are we doing with the sound, Angelia? Welcome, Karen. I'm just looking at something. Remind me later. No, I do not want to do a software update right now. Your sound is fine. Okay, thank you, Karen. Kiwi the Clown, awesome. Okay, good. Thank you all for joining me. So, listen, I found this random photo on the internet. I thought like the hairstyle was really cool. Usually, I recommend do not draw from a photo like this because there's actually no strong light and shade. It's like a typical fashion photography style photo where the light on the face is like void of any shadows. And hey, Helen, when you are learning to draw, this is the worst type of photo to use. However, rules were meant to be broken, and that you're gonna draw in multiple occasions where you don't have light and shade. And I actually get my students to draw in terrible lighting situations because if you always use perfect light, like perfect form light, that actually starts to become like a little bit of a crutch. And you can't draw without perfect form light. So once again, whenever somebody joins my website, we're going to be drawing here in like 30 seconds. We're going to start our warm up. So just bear with me just to kind of set the table here. Whenever somebody kind of joins my website and they upload their portrait drawings for a video critique, for the first time, they're usually drawing from the worst possible photo reference ever. Photo reference that is front lit, flat light, however you want to phrase it. So the first thing that we need to remedy is we need to remedy the types of photo reference you are drawing from. However, today I just wanted to do something different. Okay, so you know me, you know how I like to start. We're just going to kind of start with a little bit of a warm up right now. So let me switch views and let's go to the March 31st live stream. So this is our photo of this really cool looking model. And, there's no shadows on this model's face. Like maybe 3, but they're so small, it's out of control. And I'll point them out to you. And we'll kind of just be drawing shapes today. Now, when you draw... whatchamacallit, when you draw from light and shade, you're basically just drawing shapes too, right? But this just is a little bit more difficult. I can't believe I'm going to waste this sheet of paper on my warm-up, but I'm going to waste this sheet of paper on my warm-up. Okay, so yes, and let's do this. I actually bought somebody else's course, and I was almost late to the live stream because I just bought it and I was in the logging process of downloading their app. It's not a drawing thing. I spent my money on a knee program because my knees suck. So I always want to be learning new exercises. Okie dokie. So let's see here. And I forgot one thing. So I not only provide a course, but I like to support other people who also have courses. I think it's just it's a good thing to do. Good thing to do. Okay, so the warm up. You know me. You know me. I'm pretty straightforward. So my warm up involves ovals. So I like to. I haven't drawn anything. What's today? Today is Tuesday. I did a little drawing. Kind of, sorta on Friday. Not really. Hey, Rick, good morning. So I need this warm up. I need this. So I don't have a big part of my paper exposed, so I'll just do like a little warm up here. This is a very, very short distance. Let me get my ruler to share with you. I could always zoom out for sure. I could always zoom out, but it's small. It's 6 inches. Okay. So do these warm-ups. Now, just when you draw the ovals, do not lift your pencil off of the paper. Just do them. Keep your pencil on the paper. Do not lift off. Why, Matt? Why do I need to do this? You need to do this because the majority of people draw like this, where they constantly lift their pencil off of the paper, and that is called chicken scratch. That is where a line on the paper is 1/10 of a second. This is seconds. If you do a second, that's better than 1/10 of a second. And then the other thing that we're really trying to do, hey, Band-Aid, the noob, we are trying to build up thicker line. So this is thick line, and that's thin line. And thin line is weak. Now, you should have variety. You should have thick, thin, and somewhere in the middle, okay? So let me just kind of complete my, so now we just do one side of the oval, which is the letter C, and then the other side of the oval, which is the opposite letter C. Great for gesture drawing class, gesture drawing in general. And then, again, we can do a couple of S-curves for gesture drawing. Good. We could draw a box that we just shade a value straight up and down, straight up and down, straight up and down. We can, that's a light midtone. We can do another box with a dark. This will really get the fingers going. I don't want to press down too hard here because then I'll indent the paper and indent the paper that is below this paper that I'm going to draw on. So I don't want to do that. So we have two solid values there. And then what I also like to do in my warm-up is I like to draw a random shape, and then I like to copy that shape as best as I can exactly, and this is called the angles technique. So don't judge. It's just practice. It's just a process. And these are the things that I really, really, really like to do. Now, the other thing that is huge also are these ellipses. And just, I'm not moving my fingers if you haven't noticed. I'm moving my arm. I'm going to do another ellipse over here. Very, very important. And then a third ellipse. So again, what we are trying to strive against in the warm-up is the chicken scratch, okay? Now, okay, we're going to be starting to draw this portrait in less than a minute, 30 seconds. So I want you to look at when you first start drawing this portrait. Are you picking your pencil up every 1/10 of a second? So I'm going to show you how I'm going to try to do it with a combination of gesture, line, with angles, okay? This is very, very important that you understand in everything art, learning, all these great, wonderful teachers on YouTube and the internet. You cannot just go through this process of learning and say, that's it. This is the best technique. There's no other like they're all good. Like you need to use them all. They all have their merits, and it's how you combine them, these different techniques. This is how you're gonna improve faster versus having this like rigid, dogmatic view of just the angles are the way to do it, or just the gesture lines the way to do it, or just the continuous line. No, it's a combination of everything. Okay. Hey, you're watching the live stream. This is just my opinion, and take it for what it's worth. Okay, so I've been drawing faces every single day. I do 20 faces a day. Do you recommend some tips how I should draw faces? I'm not really using any skills. I'm just drawing it. That's good. You know, you're getting in some pencil mileage, and you're training your vision. You just need to be working 3 ways. Batman, and the 3 ways are you need to draw out of your imagination, you need to draw from life, and you need to draw from photos. And if you do those 3 things, that will aid your improvement. You'll improve a little faster. I'm just marking my sheet of paper so I know not to go off of the video. And I could technically move this Give me a second, people. I need to move this sheet of paper over. It's too far off to one side, which is going to muck with me. Yeah, better. I want the drawing to be somewhat centered. Is this piece of paper level? Yes, it is. Let me get this thing down on my screen / drawing table, and another piece of tape over here. Bear with me. Almost there. Ay, my paper's pretty crooked. Okay, I thought I was set up perfectly, but I guess not. That's a little bit better. Love it. Okay, and I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, better. Good. My whole computer screen has like blue tape all over it. So now my new marks are going to be here, here, and here. Okay. Pretty small live area. I should zoom out a touch so I have a little bit extra room, and then I'll zoom back in. Okay, so I'm going to start this drawing now. How am I going to start this drawing? So I'm going to say, all right, cool, this is where I should really have the top of the model's head. And the top of the model's head at the tippy top, and it's kind of flat. And then I'm going to, now I need to leave room for the back of this model's. So look at what I'm doing here. Oh God, yeah. Starting's always a royal pain in the butt because I've got to make sure I don't go too big and that it's on the monitor so you can see it. And it's very light right now, so I'm probably losing everybody on YouTube because the drawing is so light. You probably can't even see what I'm doing, but just hang in there with me. Hang in there with me. So I'm cruising on down, and good, that's in the screen. And so this is a line of action. It's a long, curvy. Then I'm doing a modified angle. It's kind of curved, but somewhat straight. And then this is looping down. So now I need to get that angle. And then we have this angle. Now, you don't want to go too slow with this because the slower you go, you're just going to overthink it. So I'm going to lift this up. And so now I'm gesturing in with the model's bangs, okay? And then I'm looking at this thickness. It's really thick. I want to make sure this is not too thick. So I'm going to cruise on down. This tilts up. So that is our overall shape of the model's hair. So now I have fudge factor, meaning I could kind of kick this out a little bit more. I have the room to do that. And so I'm going to stick with this. Now I'm going to go over it again because I'm a big believer when drawing portraits and when learning how to draw a portrait, you should really focus on the shape of the model's hair. Now I'm going to angle down, make the edge a little bit more complicated, kick this out. And I'm being extremely gestural. Now, I'm also being extremely simple. So now, big part of this particular portrait drawing is, well, let's see. Let me just get these bangs and then I'm simplifying all of this right now. Cool. Big part of this portrait drawing is this negative space. And I'm glancing at this width, okay? Glance at that width and just do a gesture drawing for the face through the nose. And how far away is this hair from the mouth chin area? So this loops down and I'm not confident in how long and how tall the hair is yet, so I can't really use that as a measuring guide, but I'm going to say that this chin is a little bit lower, and then I'm using a concave, not a convex line. And I just like how the neck is like pencil thin on this. It's just a funky photo that is different than what I would normally draw. And I really wanted to try to draw something different today. And it looks extremely stylized also. Um, Now, sometimes the hardest things in life are the easiest things to do, and the easiest things to do are the hardest things. So, what do I mean by that? So, if your bike is in the garage and you need to lose weight, it's just so easy to open the garage door and go for a bike ride. Pretty easy, right? The bike's right there. You just open the garage door and you go. That's also the hardest thing to do because it's so easy to look at the bike and be like, yeah, I'm not going out on a bike ride today. It's too cold. It's too hot. It's raining. Like this is an easy one to draw, but it's also when it's easy, it's hard. So, yeah, everything kind of needs to be somewhat exact. So now when I pull, here's my first plumb line and I pull that down, and my reference right now is on an iPad. So I'm using the edge of my iPad to measure. So I know that this part of the model's hair is off to the left. Okay. I will zoom in momentarily. So, and I will start to press down a little bit harder also. So I hope you're drawing along with me because this is such a fun one to draw. Okay, so I'm not doing anything yet with the features. I'm focusing in on the head. So I want to get the negative space between this area. And I'm not even committing that the face is the right height. I'm not sure yet, but I'm just going for it. So I'm going to do a little bit of the collar, shoulder of the shirt, jacket, whatever it is. Couple of angles down over there. That's good enough for me right now. And I could alter this. I don't need to copy everything exactly. If I wanted to make the neck a little bit thicker, I could do so. And I'm going to be perfectly fine if I do make the neck thicker and I don't match it. But what I am trying to look at right now is from the bottom of the hair to the top of the collar. And that's a little bit of a shorter distance, say from here to here. So I'm going to lift this up. So I'm doing what I like to call just simple comparative analysis. I'm just analyzing and comparing. So now we'll come on down with that shirt collar. Again, I'm not worried about making this perfect. This is the least of it. I kind of just want to have fun on today's live stream, and I don't want to worry about like exact proportions. So I'm going to do some edge complication. I think like I was talking to a student last week in class, and I'm like, okay, you're doing really good. Now's time to make your edges look a little bit more complicated and not so simplistic everywhere. I mean, simple is good when you're doing like a short 2-minute gesture drawing, but if you're doing a drawing that's going to be over 20 minutes, you should start to complicate some edges, and that will just have your drawing have some visual staying power where it'll keep people interested in looking at your drawing because it's just interesting edges to look at versus overly simplistic. So now I've just kind of come on into the top of our model's hair, and these, I like to call these like little micro angles, and these micro angles are living on top of the bigger gesture of the model's simplistic edge to their hair. So it goes from big gesture to small micro angles, okay? Usually what I would say is it goes from big macro angles, that's a macro angle, that's a macro angle, that's a macro angle, but then there's the mini angles that live on top, almost like a bird sitting on top of an elephant, or the bird is kind of going along for the ride on the elephant, or a bug on a turtle's shell, something like that. That's how you want to think about it. Okay, so I'm cool with this. Now, maybe what I need to do is solidify the edge of the model's hair right there. And I just got through saying there's no shadows on the model. There's maybe 3 or 4. I see them. Here's one, So it's under the neck, and then it wraps around, and then it goes around the cylinder of the neck. And then the hair is casting a shadow on the neck. Doesn't need to be perfect right now, but I think we need to establish a little bit of a shape. Now, okay, I'm going to zoom in. Where is my remote control? Here it is. Just going to zoom in a touch more. Just maximize the screen so you can see it. Now, with that being said, I apologize. I'm going to move this thing over to the left. But Matt, you just moved it to the right. I know. Just bear with me. So this, just keep drawing. Keep drawing along with me, people. Okay. So I'm just trying to maximize the screen space. And right now, I am just taping my piece of papers. I've got 2 sheets of paper, one, for Pete's sakes. Sorry for that. One on top of the other. I don't like, basically, I think it's extremely important to draw. Why is this so difficult for me? This should be easy. Okay, I digress. I'm just trying to get them exactly underneath. Matt, you're being really anal with this. I am. I am. I want the paper level, and I want a sheet of paper underneath one because it acts like a cushion. And that's very, very important for the touch of your pencil onto the paper. All right, that's good enough. So we're a little bit bigger now, a little bit more screen time. I want to thank you all for joining me here today. Let me just read this question from Batman. So, hello, and how do I improve drawing faces? Like when I draw them, I just draw the shadows of their eyes or the nose like a teeny box. Any tips on improving more? Okay, Batman. What sometimes you might need to watch specific tutorials that really, really, really drill down and take you step by step by step through every single like little nuance of drawing. I don't really do that on the live streams. I do that more on my website. Like I have a how to draw the features of the face entire course. I'm not selling you my website. It doesn't matter to me if you join or you don't join. Try to look for some free videos on YouTube that really drill down more than what I do. So for example, so like if I was going to teach somebody how to draw, I should have done this a little bit bigger, but I don't want to get too distracted from the portrait. Like I would say your eye is a ball, and then this is your upper eyelid. This is your lower eyelid that lives on that ball, and your lower eyelid has a ledge to it. Your upper eyelid also has a ledge or a surface plane, and these are surface planes, so it angles in, then the white of the eye, then it comes out, then under that. So like this would be me drilling down a little bit deeper on explaining the eye, and then with surface planes, and then saying, okay, your eye is an eyeball, and the under lid is more in shadow, the lower eyelid is in shadow, the ledge of that lower eyelid catches light, and then this ledge of the upper eyelid is in shadow, and the top is in light. And then there's usually a shadow over here under the eyebrow every single time that you draw. And you're usually not going to see the whole iris because the eyelid is covering it. And you're only going to see half a circle or 3/4 of a circle. Let me sharpen this pencil. Okay, so like I think I'm just on my YouTube live streams. I am not drilling down this deep on these types of lessons. And maybe this is what you need. Maybe you need um, to drill down. Like I said, I'm not selling my website. I'm here to help people draw. If you want to look at my website, great. Take a look at it. That's your call. I don't want to turn this into a sales thing. But like for instance, there's some knee exercises. Like I had knee surgery like 2 years ago, and my knee I still always tweak it. It'll be like that for the rest of my life. So I know basic knee exercises. I signed up to a knee course. So I just signed up to another course because I want to see if there's like more techniques that like I'm missing. But this is what you need to do. Like you need to have somebody show you and drill down on these like little techniques. So in my class, I would do this like this, but a little bit bigger. I would do it from the profile. I would do it with multiple light sources hitting the eyeball because your eye is a ball. Okay. So that's what I think you need. What I'm showing you here is more of a big overview on how to draw this portrait in an hour, okay? So or 2 hours. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of that tone over there. I'm going to put I want a shape. So there's a shape over here. I'm going to put a shape over here. I'm going to because shapes are valuable for me. For some artists, like they hate shapes. They just want to draw with line. And I understand that. That's what they're used to. Okay, so now what I'm going to do next is there's a special technique. I don't want to curse too much here on YouTube, but it's called just effing go for it. Like I say that in my perspective backgrounds class to my students. I'm like, okay, who can tell me what the next technique is when I'm taking them step through an exercise, step by step through an exercise. I'm like, what's the next technique? And they're like, they're looking at me like there's going to be some like magical name. And I'm like, just fucking go for it. And they all laugh. So I'm like, okay, you're paying attention. So I'm starting this eye. I feel as though it needs to be slightly lower, but I always go like against the grain of my first lines, and that usually comes back to bite me in the butt because I don't have trust that the lines are correct. I should just trust what I did here is correct and not completely start to raise the chin or lower the eye. Let me just put that in. Now, I barely press down hard on that eye. Barely. So this would be the bridge of the nose. So now I'm looking at this. I'm going to do some micro angles. So let me resharpen my pencil. I'm sorry. Hold on. So yes, I could easily raise the chin. How does this look from here to here? That does not look tall enough. I am going to lower the eye. And yes, and I'm lowering the eye. I'm also looking at the white of the eye. And I'm looking that this model has this eyelash set shape, however you want to call it. And then I'm going to put in some micro angles over there. And then we have the cheekbone. Now, remember what I said over here. The micro angles live on the big angle. The big angle is the shape of the model's front of their face. And then I'm looking at, this will tell me if my proportions are off. So like this eye, the reason why I'm taking so long with it, it is the most important part of the portrait because it's going to set the rest of the facial features. Because now I'm looking at how far down is the tip of the nose. So we have our tip of the nose right there. And then this comes down into the mouth area, into the chin. I could easily raise that chin. So what I've basically done, my friends on YouTube, is I've basically done a series of micro angles that live on the macro angle. I just want to put this piece of paper here. The weather just changed, and I'm not ready to put my AC on yet. And it's a little warm in here. Yeah. Go from the heating bills to the AC bills. I'm not ready. I want to have my neighbor across the street always calls it like we have a couple days a year that like are free days. Like you don't have to pay for heat and you don't have to pay for the electric to run the AC. So, yeah, absolutely. Now I'm going to do this. Man, this is low contrast, people. I can barely see what the hell's going on here. So I'm just going to do this model's nose, very light line. So this is why, okay, you see what's happening here? You have to be very exact with this sort of stuff. And this is why I recommend that. Here's the caveat. When you are first learning how to do a portrait, do not draw from a photo like this because it could be very discouraging. Like if you don't get these shapes like exact, it is not going to look like this model. And it's frustrating. You have a better chance of getting the likeness if you're drawing bigger, more substantial shadow shapes. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the other side. And where is the tear duct? How far away from here to here? And then where is that end of the eyelash to the edge of the hair? So bear with me. So this is where drawing this type of photo is very difficult for anyone, for someone who's been drawing for years, somebody just starting out. This is a little bit more difficult for sure. So how far away from the bangs, considering I have the bangs right, and I don't know if I do, is that eye? And so I draw that eyelid lash thing, and I'm not pressing down hard. I'm actually pressing down fairly lightly on my pencil, and I'm going to just indicate through line right now the tear duct area, the white of the eye, which is extremely thin, and then the eye in and of itself, the dark iris, which is blending in perfectly with the pupils. So now I'm looking at the distance from here to the top of the bottom of the hair and to the bottom of the chin. So I'd rather raise the chin than do anything else. So I could gently raise the chin. I did about 1/8 of an inch there. Okay. And I'm cool with that. That's no big deal. So now I'm going to come on in, and this eye is much bigger than what I've drawn. And I'm going to give it a little bit of a shape. Now I am not pressing down hard. I am pressing down very lightly in case I want to erase. And then there's like a little tone there. I know that's probably very hard to see on YouTube, but it's there. And so I'm going to come on in. Now look at the eye and then look at where that bottom of the nose is. How far is that distance? Now, you could try to look for that, but your eye-hand coordination, maybe you have not spent enough time seeing with your vision these distances. Like you need to be extremely patient. Now, listen to me. I'm not drilling down and showing you, like I'm not going this deep with my tutorial lesson here, but I am giving you some pretty valuable information on this live stream. And so when you draw this part of their nose, do not, like I do not press down hard. Like do not do like a dark line there. You need to use your light touch and just be a little bit more conservative with the pressure that you put on your pencil point. So don't press down too hard. This is a very light front lit photo, and we reserve the right to be able to erase our mistakes. And so the way that we reserve our right to do that is by pressing down lightly. Okay, So now I've got the bottom of the nose right over here. Notice I did not make the nostril black. It's just suggested for now. That's very crucial for you. Now I'm coming down the front of the center above the mouth, the lips, I should say. And then this is rolling in. So now I'm going to do that like W or V shape where I'm pondering where the upper lip is. Maybe it's a tad lower. And then these lips also are. Remember, I chose this one because it's difficult. It's easy, but it's difficult. It's an oxymoron. What is it's a paradox, basically, what's going on here. So now we're going to get this upper lip, and is a series of angles where the two lips kind of touch because this model's mouth is slightly open. And this edge of the mouth is right near the edge of the face. And so now I'm going to come on down and indicate the shadow under the lower lip. These are just some landmarks that I'm getting in. I'm not saying they're perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm cool with what I've done so far. Again, I just want today to be a little bit more of a carefree, stress-free drawing day. I don't really care about the exact likeness thing, although I always strive for the exact likeness. That's part of the enjoyment that I get when I draw is the idea that, oh, cool, I got the likeness. That's one of the reasons why I like to do this, because it's a challenge. It's always been a challenge for me. I think I'm fairly good at drawing a likeness. Now, you could be like, I could give a crap less about the likeness. I just want to do my own interpretation of this model, and that's cool too. So as long as you know and you're like kind of intentional with this stuff, that's a good thing. So I'm going to just tilt that. Now, what I'm going to try to do, I think this eye needs to be a little bit bigger. I'm going to just try to make that eye look a little bit bigger. I'm not ready to commit to pressing down hard. So the elephant in the room now is that I need to get a drink of water. No, the elephant in the room is that we need to start to shade next. But Matt, you said there's no shadows. Well, we're going to shade the shape of the hair. Okay. And wow, these pencils are starting to get pretty short. And now I've got my fingers on the edge of this pencil extender with this barcode stickiness, and that is awful. I should have got a new pencil before I started this live stream. Okay, hold on now. I'm complaining. I'm being a baby. I got you. Okay. Let's keep drawing here. So I'm gonna get. Oh gee whiz. Okay. I'm gonna get a little dark shape here. 1 second. Go right up to the lid. Now, I'm not committing. I should commit, but I'm not committing to pressing down hard just yet. And you shouldn't, because if you go for it and you're a monster and you press down as hard as humanly possible right now, you will dent the paper with your pencil for sure. So I did video critiques yesterday of the members of my website of last week's The Man with the Beard. They did The Man with the Beard. They drew that. And they uploaded it for video critique. And one of the main things I was harping on with a lot of the critiques was edge clarity. So I'm really trying to do my best to keep edge clarity here. Um, Very important. Now, am I lifting my pencil off the paper when I'm shading? Yeah, for sure. Um, there's a time and a place to lift your pencil off the paper. Now I'm going to go a little bit longer with the strands of hair. Yes, and this is going to be my first shape. And there's a lot to shade here. My goodness gracious, there's a lot. Okay, um, that's fine. And next, I'm going to shade, I'm going to lower that. And that will in turn make the hair look a wee bit taller. Um, and okay, fine. This is going to be a little bit of some pencil mileage here to start to shade. Now, I really, my goal is to build this up to a really dark shape. Now, listen to me, people. I need to. I've got this light glaring in my face, so I look all pretty and all on YouTube. I don't need to look pretty. It's front light hitting my face, so it gets rid of all the shadows. Look at how small I am. It doesn't really matter. Let me go get rid of that light hitting my face. It's driving me bananas. It's like making my eyes tired. Okay, hold on. I'll be right back. Okay, holy shit, so much better. I don't have that bright light in my face. Okay, so yes, oh my God, that is so much better. Okay, this needs to be lower. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is you're checking for level. The model's left eye is slightly higher. There's a little tilt. Okay, so you want to make sure that one eye isn't like really high up. And now what I'm doing here, again, I feel like I don't want to commit to this because it's so black and white. But I'm looking at the edge of the end of the eye, dark part of the eye lashes to this edge. Again, doesn't need to be exact, but it's too wide. So I'm going to bring the hair in. I'm pretty okay with the length of the face. And now, okay, when I'm looking at this model, their hair is pretty darkened out. I got to show you this thing because it's pretty cool. So I had years ago the iPad Mini, and I gave it to my mom. I'm like, use this, Ma, because I'm getting the bigger one. That's when I transitioned to my first iPad Pro. And she just recently moved, and she's like, I don't want this anymore. You want this? And she gave me all of her old iPads. And I've had the first gen iPads, like, they would not recharge. They were shot. But this one is working out really well. I'll share it with you. Hold on. So I've got the model reference like right there. It's kind of perfect for this. So save your old iPads. I have another one, my first iPad Pro, and they're good to use to position your reference. Yeah. So okay, now I should shade more on the right side so I don't smudge, but I will smudge. I will use a brush. So I'm going to try to go a little bit more loose with it, not so exact, but I'm trying to press down hard. This is the highlight area. Okay. Um, so again, everybody, like, rules were meant to be broken, but too many people um, go on Pinterest and they look for photos to draw, and half of the photos plus half are just the worst lighting ever. The photo looks really cool. Maybe it's a good looking model. They're very attractive, or they're a celebrity, or they're a rock star or something like that. And you really like that person, and you want to draw them, and you're learning how to draw, and then you draw them and you're like, why can't I draw? Like, what is up with me? This I'm very disappointed. And it's because, again, I know I'm repeating myself. It's it's kind of hard to draw a front lit photo, for sure. Um, and that's what this is. But the saving grace on this one is the extreme shape of the model's hair, because it's a pretty extreme black shape. So that makes it a little bit easier to draw, for sure. Now, this is just my first go through. Okay. So there's going to be plenty of adjustment time. Going to adjust the eyes. Let me resharpen this again. So this just takes forever to do this, for sure. This is why I'm also drawing a little bit smaller. This is a good size for me, though. I don't like doing life-size portraits. They just take forever, not really good for a short live stream video. Now, this is the bottom of the, I guess you can call it like a bob cut. And so it's going to be like a little bit darker there. Let me just, yeah, okay. Now, some of you are like, Matt, why aren't you using like a thicker pencil and all that jazz? Um, I just like this pencil. So I'm trying to stick with the same pencil. So have longer pencil strokes over here that cascade down, going with the lay of the land, so to speak. And there's certainly some highlights on the model's hair, but I don't want to get too into the weeds with that right now. What in essence I'm just trying to do here is I'm just trying to get rid of white paper. And do it in a way that I'm looking at the model's strands of hair. So I'm starting to throw in the definitive shape with the definitive strands of hair direction. A little bit darker here. Okay, so now I'm gonna grab my, let me just put a little bit more pencil down on the paper here. Okay, so now I'm gonna grab a brush. And I'm gonna do my very best to push the pencil into the tooth of the paper. And this will most certainly speed up the shading process and make the shape of the hair look a value darker. So I'm also going to do this under the chin into the cast shadow, which is way too light. All of this is much, 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 much too light, but it's fine. So I'm using like a smaller brush near the edge. And then I'll dive into using a bigger brush, a little bit more aggressive, and just pushing and giving the model's hair a little bit of a softer edge, because we also don't want this to look like a helmet head. And how you create the look and feel of a helmet head is by having so many hard edges on the edge of the model's hair. So I'm just pushing the pencil into the texture and tooth of the paper. That's all. So I'm just going to do this also with the eyes, even though I still need to shade more. Okay. So what time is it? It's 10:53. I'm a little slow today, but um, about 45 minutes for this because we did the warm up. Okay. I think a little bit less, but that's fine. Um, now, hold on. Now, what I also like to do, because when you rub with these bristle brushes, these are not like super expensive bristle brushes. When you rub with them, they, the hairs from the bristle brush start to disintegrate a little bit. So you just want to brush. That's it, Matt. Brush it right on the keyboard. Okay. Just get rid of some of that. And now we're going to go through it again. But first, I'm just going to get a little drink of water. Okay. Now, I'm going to say that this model, it's going to be hard to get their likeness because it's so subtle. So subtle. But I'll try. So first thing here, let's try this again. Very dark lash. The lid tilts down. And this eye tilts a lot. Now, I want to just put this over here because my hand's going right in all of that pencil. And okay. What else do I see there? Well, I see the edge of the white of the eye. I want to clarify that edge. And then I'm seeing the lower eyelid. Okay, good. And then I'm seeing, I think, a cast shadow right above the upper eyelid here. And then this hair coming right down a little bit more. Very dark, very thick. Bridge of the nose is right there. And then I'm seeing the lower eyelashes right here. I'm moving that over to the right. Hopefully that wasn't a mistake. And then the cheekbone area kicks out with an angle. The white of the eye is very thin. And that eye is very dark. And this is not thick, this part of the hair, but I'm going to leave it thick. Okay, so clarify the edge. I'm pressing down a little bit harder there. So this is the bridge of the nose. Very, very, very dark hair. So now we're going to see if I really enjoy drawing this type of, from this type of front lit, flat lit light, a little bit more of like a fashion photography vibe. So I'm lowering the bangs. Lots and lots and lots of shading needs to take place because it's my contention that this drawing will not look good unless I draw the model's hair very dark. I'm lowering the bangs closer to the eye. And then they start to taper upwards. So this is turning under. This should be darker. I'm trying not to dent the paper. So you have to build this up kind of gradually, or else you will dent the paper, and that will be terrible. Okay, so resharpen. And let's be a little bit more aggressive with the other eye now. So we have our tear duct area. This is such an exact shape. This is why we draw these shapes when we do our warm-up, because we're trying to draw an exact shape. And you could draw from these terrible front-lit photos if you just understand that you need to practice drawing these exact shapes, because we're not getting, you know, the traditional art teacher Rembrandt form light with the triangle on the shadow side of the cheekbone. That's not this. This is different. So now I'm going to go a little bit darker with the lash. It's this kind of graphic fashion photography style photo where these eyes, they just look like they're almost drawn on and not really soft and atmospheric. Upper eyelid, very faint. Less pressure on the pencil. And then the lash. So this eye is so dark. I'm just going to get the mono 0 and just pull a little bit from this side better. And I normally do nothing on the lower eyelids, but I'm going to do a little bit here. So there's like a little lash, a little shadow under the lower eyelid. We want to go with the philosophy, less is best. And this needs to be a little wider. I'm just pressing down hard, trying to get the paper into the nook and cranny of the tooth of the paper. Does anybody have any questions? We've been at this for a while now. I'm not seeing any questions roll in. Okay. Just want to make sure I'm not in a room talking to myself. Very faint around the eyes. And yep. Okay. So I'm going to go away from the eye for a little bit now. Or at least I'm trying to. This eye feels bigger. Mine feels smaller. I am going to do the upper lashes to make the appearance of the eye bigger. And let's go to the nose. There's there's a little ball shape at the tip of the nose that I didn't really get. And then it comes down to the center of the bottom of the nose. And that center of the bottom of the nose is casting a little tiny shadow right there. And underneath the center of the bottom of the nose, I'm going to do a little bit of a tone. And thank you, Paul. Appreciate you. I hate sitting in a room and just filming dry tutorials. That's my business, I guess, but I've been doing it for so many years. I've gotten bored with it, for sure. Uh, okay. Side of the nose, extremely light pressure. I kind of went a little too dark there, but it's fine. I need you to see what I'm doing, but it's lighter. Um, all of this is much lighter. So technically, this should be a value darker than the nose in and of itself. And oh, I see. There's the two lines coming down to the lips. Now, when I brush this out and then I didn't brush that out, so they don't match, so we need to brush all that out. Hey, Sebastian Holstein, welcome. Thank you for that. So, yep, let's keep going here and a little thicker in between the upper lip and the lower lip. And it's not a straight line. There's a series of angles. And I also, I need to look at my drawing from far away. Also, I'll probably do that in a little bit when I get up to take a bathroom break. So I'm going to just do a little bit of shading with the upper lip. And then the lower lip is here, and it touches the very edge of the contour of the face, and it's very light. Lower lips are usually light because they catch light. They're top plane. I do think that including, I used to be against it, but I've changed. So recently, a fourth year student who's going to graduate in the end of the semester in 4 weeks, 5 weeks, asked me to look at their website, because I teach a business class for artists for when they graduate, what to do, how to market themselves, and all that jazz. It's an informal one session class in the semester. The class isn't titled art business class. It's just one session. So I'll take like an hour and a half of that drawing class, and it's the end of the semester, and it really helps the fourth year students, because I'm teaching them my experience of having an online business for many, many years, since 2006. So I have some knowledge, right? And good, bad, and ugly. So I teach them that stuff, and when I teach them about their website, I just looked at someone's website. So to make a long story short, I thought the sketchbook was a really nice complement to the formal portfolio because it allows the art director to see, or the art buyer to see, the informal side of the artist. And the artist can show a little bit more of experimental work in the sketchbook. Now, in the sketchbook, like, I wouldn't want it to be so completely different. Like, this artist had a section, an image on their website that I'm like, that needs to come off. Like, that matches nothing. I get it. You enjoyed working on that piece. It was a fun class, but the style of that piece just, it's sticking out like a sore thumb. It matches nothing else on your website, and it's a distractor, and I would take that off. Now, that's just my advice, and the student obviously doesn't need to do what I say because it's their website, not mine. So I can only give my opinion. And I think the sketchbook, including sketchbooks in portfolios, you don't want to have a sketchbook that's too loose. Too, like, there's like, for me, it would be, my sketchbook would be life drawings, and I'm best at life drawing, and so my drawings would be pretty good. But I don't know if I would want to show some of, like, my really rough practice warm-up drawings, like, out of my imagination. Like, I think you still need to understand there's the word portfolio there, and thinking of finished product. So you don't want the sketchbook to be so loose either. I don't You have to find a little bit of a meet in the middle where it's a sketchbook but it still looks pretty good. Yeah. That's my 2 cents. Okay, so I think I need to just put a little bit on the shirt collar, and then we're going to brush this out again. And then we're going to take a little bathroom break because I need to look at this from far away. I'm going with a less is best mentality on the shirt. Awesome, you got it. Yeah, I mean, this person's website was really put together. They used, now, not everybody has like a big budget for a website. I understand that 100%. Um, Actually, let me take a break. One of my dogs is scratching at the door. Maybe I'll go grab Bubba, and time out. Time out. Bub, doofus. All right, yeah, we got Bubba. Bubba's Bubba's trouble. Bubba, look at the screen. You want to look at the screen? You're licking your chops. Okay, yeah, look over here. Look. Okay, Bubba, we're gonna do a bathroom break, and it's gonna take 60 seconds, and then I will be back. I just want to look at the drawing from far away, and I'll be right back. Okay, what could be better here? Um, I think I need to match the values a little bit better. The hair could be a little bit taller. Um, I think the bangs of the hair are a little bit too angled. So let me just look at these comments. I have a question. Will studying realistic anatomy help me to develop a manga style or hold me back? And when should I shift from fundamentals to drawing what I want? Um, I think you should do both of these now at the same time. Like, I wouldn't wait to shift from fundamentals to drawing what I want. So I think they're always the drawing the fundamentals will never go away, and you should always do that. And I have been drawing the fundamentals my whole entire career. Like, I just didn't all of a sudden like learn everything, and then I stopped doing the fundamentals, and then I started drawing what I wanted. Like, to this day, like every single semester, and I teach 3 semesters. Kinda. So I teach the fall semester, the spring semester, and then the summer semester. The summer semester is more on my website. Um, and so that's 3 semesters that I'm doing the fundamentals, but I still draw what I want, you know. So yeah, I think you need to do both and not think that one is going to be stopped and then you do the other one. And then will studying realistic anatomy help me develop a manga style? I think people who draw like a manga style that have no anatomical landmarks on their characters, I think those drawings don't work as much as when you have a manga style that actually shows like real muscles and bones in more of a stylized way. So I honestly do feel that drawing and studying human anatomy, starting with the bones and then going to like a muscle a week, it's a long term study. It's not going to happen overnight. There's too much information. And really getting good with anatomy is just going to make your manga drawing so much better. And like, if they're not including anatomy, they're going to just look not as kind of realistic, not as interesting, because it's going to just look like you're drawing people that are made out of like cylinders and no anatomy. Like, this is a real thing. Like, a lot of my students in class will do like an animation background for the class in perspective. That's the class background's perspective. And they'll throw in like an anime character in it. And the character, like, it looks like the shoe is on like the wrong foot because they're not understanding like the arch of the foot, the big toe, and the tilt of the toes, and that the top of the foot is round like a cylinder, and which bones are pronounced. And so, like, it's just something that is very, very, very important. I hope that helped you. I hope I wasn't all over the place. Um, okay, so I was just wondering, I'm currently in my first year of animation course in university and still haven't really gotten my own personal style yet. Do you think I should just start studying artists? Okay, I talk about this all the time. Um, this could be an entire lesson in and of itself with no drawing, just like a lecture on style. So let me get this scrap piece of paper here. So I will do my best just to kind of give you a quick like little synopsis. So 4-year college degree. I think in those 4 years, first and second year of college should be all about experimentation and trying different digital brushes, trying different mediums, trying different things, lots and lots of experimentation. And then by that time, if you continually look at your work as a group in a portfolio situation, you start to see trends and you start to, I have my students do this now on a weekly basis, like what went well, what didn't go well, what did you like, when were you most happiest, working on what piece, and we start to talk about things like that. And I'm like, okay, so maybe some of you by the end of second year of college will have a little bit of a style, but it just still needs to be matured. And then some of you will still be, after 2 years of college, be very frustrated. And every piece of art that you draw or paint or digitally paint, whatever, looks slightly different, or not slightly different, but very different. So then what I say to people is just keep experimenting and keep writing down what went well, what didn't work, and when were you most happiest, and looking back at your portfolio and asking yourself the question, which one did I do that is my best, that people really liked, I was in a flow state. And you just need to continually like look for clues. And for some people, unfortunately, they don't find their style when they're in their 4 years of college. Maybe they find their style when they're 25, 26 years old. And then you also need to make the realization that there is pretty much two different types of artists out there. So one is like me. I have what is called a stalker style. So everything that I do looks the same. My style kind of stalks me. And I'm cool with that. I like that. That's called a personal style, and that's my brand of art. And I've always had the same style since I was in high school. It's just that over the years, I've matured the style, refined the style, improved the style, but it's still my style. So if I work in oil paint, it looks the same as digital. If I'm working in pencil, it looks the same as oil paint. And that's cool. Now I won't get into any names, but I have one student in my Friday afternoon class who I just had a conversation with them, and I showed them another artist, and I'm like, you see, I like to show somebody who doesn't have a consistent style but is still earning a living. But these people are rare. They're not the norm. Most artists who earn a pretty good living at what they're doing, whether it's an illustrator, animator, or whatever, they have a pretty well-known, consistent style. And you don't even need to see their name. Like, you look at their art and you know it's them. But I like to also show to students who are struggling and starting to lose like a little bit of hope that they're never going to find a style, that there are people who work in multiple styles and they still earn a living as an artist in their chosen field. Again, those people are rare, and they're really like pretty talented, and they're being hired for a different reason. They're bringing their vibe to the project, and they're bringing like their own vision to the project. They're not necessarily bringing a predictable style. So again, there's room for everybody, but I think I'll close with this, and that is, when you are graduating from school and you are putting together a portfolio, the chances of you getting work with a portfolio that has a consistent style go up tremendously versus if you're showing 14 styles on one website. I hope that helps. So, what should you keep in mind when you draw a portrait? Um, well, um, I think the simplest thing are tilts. Tilt of the eyes should sync up with the tilt of the lips, should sync up with the tilt of the eyebrows, should sync up with the tilt of the bottom of the nose. People do these really, really kind of. I see this every week. Somebody will draw a portrait and they have the eyes tilted that way. Then the nose is level, and then the lips are tilted that way. and then one side of the jaw is round, and then the other side of the jaw is angled. So there's no rhyme to the reason. Like everything is kind of tilted in a different direction. But this should be really foundational to drawing portraits is find the tilt. And sometimes that tilt is perspective. Sometimes that you get lucky and the tilt kind of syncs up with um, the surface planes of the head. And that's when you're doing a good portrait. Another thing to take into consideration when you're drawing a portrait is the person you are drawing, whether it's from a photo or from a life drawing class, do you have a good light and shade? Is it form light? Is it side light? Is it rim light? Do you have backlight? Or worse, do you have front light? Like this is front light. So I think it's just people never think about light and light and shade is everything. And I think you need, the last thing I can say is that you should most definitely start to draw, you shouldn't draw facial features. Instead, you should draw abstract shapes. So trick your mind, and instead of drawing an eye that's really hard to draw, instead you're drawing shadow shapes, abstract shapes of shadow and light. And so those are just 3 quick tips. Of course, there's dozens of quick tips, but those are 3 quick tips for you. So number 1, look for the tilts. Number 2, understand the light that's hitting the model's head. And number 3, don't draw features, but draw abstract shapes. The name of the artist who works in different styles is James Jean. No, I'm using, hold on. Hold on. This is a red version of it. It's the Prismacolor Colorase pencil. Um, they don't sell black anymore, unfortunately. But you can do what I'm doing with a regular graphite. Yeah, I could lecture on the whole style thing. There's so many other tidbits, but yeah, I got to keep some things close to the vest. I usually, in my classes at the School of Visual Arts, I give those students absolutely everything, all the information that I could possibly conjure up. I will teach it to them. Now, whether or not they listen is another story. Because last week in one of my classes, I was giving these students some really good information, and I saw a few of them barely looking up at the monitor in the classroom. And I just kept saying, remember, you're spending $75,000 a year on this education. It would behoove you to every once in a blue moon look up at what I'm teaching you. And they just look up and they look at me like with this look like, really? Did you have to make it that realistic right now? But seriously, like sometimes these students come into the room and they zone out. And I get it. You know, the human being can only listen to so much information, and then it becomes overly saturated, and then they don't really hear what the teacher's saying anymore. Um, Especially when you're tired and you have multiple classes and multiple homework assignments due, you can really get fried. And it is week. It was week 10 last week, so we're all getting very tired. Let me just look at some of these, and I need to get the brush back out. Um, oh yeah, all the time, Sean. So like there's I see students in first year, second year, and fourth year. I don't have any third year students. So like I see people like in first year, I'm like, oh my God, you have such a style and you don't even know it. And everything they do, like I see that all the time and they don't even know it. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I constantly see that. So what I'm explaining to these students who have a style and they don't know it yet, and they literally say to me like, I don't know what my style is, and I'm like, "Oh my god, you're doing the same thing like every week, and this is your style." So we start to define the style via keywords, and then I make them aware of it, and I just tell them what they're doing, and then I'm like, this is how you need to mature it. Like to take it to the next level, you need to do A, B, and C, um, for sure. Hey Matt, in drawing, some areas of some features or shades are very complicated. How to simplify it? Um, so the way that you simplify it. Oh boy. Okay, let me get my scrap piece of paper. The way that you simplify it is you keep your lights light and you keep your shadows shadow. So let's say this eyeball has an eyebrow and the light is coming directly from up above. Um, then you say, okay, I'm going to simplify this by primitively drawing the line that separates the light from the shadow, and I am going to just shade the shadow shape in more of a solid way, like that. So, in essence, what I am doing is I am keeping my shadows shadowy and my light light. Now, if I see like a fold of skin over here or like a little red on the upper eyelid, I'm not going to start doing that because now I've destroyed the light. So, you really, first of all, this is all dependent upon whether or not you're working from photo reference that has good light and shade. But basically, you need to keep your lights light and you need to keep your shadows shadowy. And on the flip side, if there's like a little reflected light over here and you start to erase it out, now you're destroying your shadow. So you like, now I need to go back and I need to make the shadow shadowy. And the other way for me to say that is I need to keep the shadow solid. Now I'm not really a big blend in stump person, but if we do it this way now and I blend it out, now you can really see the simplicity of that light and shade. So I've got clean light, clean shadow, clarified line that separates the two. Again, this is completely predicated on the fact that you are not drawing from a photo like this. This photo has no light and shade, really. So you would be better off drawing from a much high quality photo than this one. Um, Yeah, so I can't say your name. Um, Amir Tanish. Um, I'm sorry, I butchered your name. Yeah, students will be students. $75,000 with room and board. Yes, sir. Um, I don't understand. Oh, are those like medical hearts? Um, Sean. Yeah, for sure. Like, you get tunnel vision, and then most people um, sabotage themselves with negative self talk. And they do this constantly. I know I've done it, and I give examples all the time to the students. And I'm like, so when you did this homework and I critiqued it, what was going through your head? Did you say, oh my God, you're such a jackass? Like, you did the same mistake again. And they look at me and they raise their hand and they laugh. So, yeah, like people can't see without an outside perspective because half of the time they're beating themselves up to a pulp in their mind with their language, for real. And so yeah, you do need another set of eyes on your artwork. Again, I am not promoting my website. I don't care who's your teacher, but get a teacher and have them look at your artwork, because you could be banging your head against the wall for 5 years straight trying to get better at drawing portraits or drawing the figure or drawing landscapes, and it could just be like one sentence that the teacher says that is like, "Oh my god, I'm such a jackass. I didn't know. I wish somebody would have told me that like 5 years ago." And I'm like, "Yep, you need another set of eyes because you're in your head way too much." And watching tutorials like what I'm doing here, if you would want to even call this a tutorial, watching something like this is good, but you need more than this. Like, you need feedback on your artwork, and you need to ask the teacher questions. And that is how you will improve faster. I don't know if I'm liking the way this is coming out, but I got no choice now. Let me do a little bit more with the neck. And then I need to brush out the features and go back into the features again, because and the dark under the jaw is too dark, too thick, and too angled up. Yeah, good questions today. Thank you. This is fun. I could talk about the career stuff forever. This curves around the cylinder of the neck. All of this, everybody, just needs to be so much darker. All of it. Time, right? I could change this and frame. I don't need to copy the values of the fabric. I can just suggest a little bit of value here. So really what my job is in my perspective backgrounds class is when the student does the the digital painting, um, and it's my job to point out what they're missing. Uh, if I notice through them working through like multiple pieces, and it's like it's week 7 and I've seen 7 of their digital paintings, then I can say, oh, okay, I can see this is your style. These two were experimentations, or these two were you were trying to figure the class out, and maybe you tried something different. And then these you kind of went to your favorite program, whether it's Procreate or Clip Studio Paint, whatever the heck you use, and then you used a brush you've been using for years, and it looks pretty good. So now, like, what's missing in your piece is, your value structure is awful. You're doing 90% of your painting with a middle tone, or you're missing texture. Everything looks like the same texture. So I'll point stuff out like that to them. Okay, so what do you do to keep your wonder and creativity amongst the teaching and practice? So um, how do I even say this? So I do stuff outside of teaching and the art world that I don't really mix together with the art world, because they don't mix. It's a sport. And I do that, and it's the most challenging thing I've ever done. And I usually compete on weekends, and I didn't compete this weekend nor next weekend because I have a little bit of an injury. And this thing involves movement, it involves creativity, it involves your eyesight, it involves so much. So that keeps me um, challenged. So I have a massive amount of empathy um, for my students who are struggling. So I struggle with this sport, and it enables me to see, oh God, I'm kind of a novice, and this other person is completely kicking my asshole, and it makes me get the younger students' point of view of they're struggling and they're sitting next to somebody who's been digital painting since they were in 8th grade because they used their parents' iPad. Their parents bought them Procreate. They've been using their parents' iPad since like 8th grade, and they've been digitally painting. And this other person just started digitally painting in school, and they're like, "Oh my God, what am I doing here?" So it gives me like a lot of empathy. So I unfortunately most of the drawings that I do are tutorial drawings. They're not really personal drawings. Occasionally, I'll hire the model to stay like after class and I'll draw with them, but that is extremely rare. Um, and yeah, so I've got to figure out a way to get like a little bit more of personal time with artwork in for sure. But yeah, we'll see. Right now, this is what I'm doing, and yeah. Occasionally, like I'll throw in a drawing for myself, but the last couple years, it's been extremely rare. This is actually fun for me to do this. Um, yeah, it can be a grind, and so I've changed how I teach, like the format on my website, because I cannot do this like 352 weeks out of the year, 365. Like that's impossible. So I've changed how I teach. What time is it? I've changed how I teach on my website to semesters. So our winter spring semester is going to end at the end of April, last week in April, just the same way the semester will end at the college. So this winter spring semester will end on May 1st. And then I don't do anything with the college, nor do I do anything on my website in May. Um, and so I take that time off. I mean, I still have hundreds and hundreds of lessons on the website um, that people could watch, but I take that time off and I do the same thing between the fall semester and the winter spring semester. During the holidays and the new year, I'll take 3 to 4 weeks off because you have to like recharge and replenish uh, and do different things because you can get old really fast. Now, there's a danger to taking too long off, especially when you're learning, and that is half of drawing, in my opinion, is eye-hand coordination, not knowledge, but eye-hand coordination. So if you take longer than 3 weeks off, then you're going to lose all of your eye-hand coordination, and then you're going to get frustrated, and then it's like kind of starting over. So there's a tipping point to that for sure, because this is a mental game and an eye-hand coordination game. It's not one or the other; it's both, and they're kind of equal. You're welcome, Kiwi the Clown. That's a pretty cool name. It kind of flows. Um, well, I mean, the materials, it's hard for me to say since I basically 90% of the tutorials on my website have been done with this pencil. So I'm a big believer in that you should have your go-to materials that kind of develop your style. So I think it's very bad when you constantly change your materials. So you see somebody on YouTube, they're a really good teacher, really good artist, and they're using some expensive charcoal with this expensive paper, and then you switch to that. And then 2 months later, you see a new teacher on YouTube with different materials, really good, and they're doing like watercolor, and then you switch to that. Um, but with drawing specifically, a lot of this comes into lifestyle and who you are as like a human being. Like I like to keep my studio fairly clean, so I'm really not going to be using dusty, vine charcoal in here. I'm not going to use materials like that. Like, I like to keep it simple in my studio, so I'm just basically um, using what you see here. So these are just pencils and brushes, some white charcoal, some stuff like that, mono zero. Like, I keep it really, really simple. And then even like I just recently did some oil painting lessons on my website. So even with oil paints, like I keep it fairly simple. I think it's good for you to master certain materials and not all materials. So it's like that sentence: if you try to market to everybody, you market to nobody. So you need to just drill down and become an expert at using a certain set of art materials. So the basics. Yeah, I like the immediacy of just picking up a pencil and drawing, and I pretty much only use right now in the classroom. I only occasionally use like this red pencil just because it's fun. I'll use this ebony pencil, which is like a 3B type pencil for life drawing. Um, I use the Cola Race rarely. Only I use this at home the most. So occasionally I'll draw with this Lyra graphite stick for gesture drawing. So it depends. It depends. I have certain pencils for newsprint. I have certain pencils for long drawings. I have certain pencils for gesture drawings. A lot of it is dependent upon the amount of time you're spending on the drawing. Like, I would never, Jesus, that FedEx truck is flying. I would never do gesture drawing with this pencil. It's awful for gesture drawing. I'd rather use like a softer pencil. So maybe you can think of it that you're using certain drawing materials for certain timed drawings. So if you're doing a 5-hour drawing, maybe you would use certain materials. If you're doing gesture, then you're going to do something different. Hope that helped. All right, Kiwi the Clown, thank you so much for joining me. We're probably going to end in 10 minutes anyway. I don't know how I feel about this drawing. It's so minimal. I feel like that's all I'm doing is shading this character's hair. Uh, but yeah, this is what I chose. So be careful what you choose for sure. Uh, just edge clarification. I forgot I got to get a haircut in between this class and my Zoom class. Goodbye, Matt. I'm in a different time zone and I got to go now. Thanks so much for your advice and opinions. Thank you so much. Yeah, I usually do this on Tuesdays, 10 a.m. New York time. I might change it in the summer, but for now, this is the time that I do. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate that. So now we can come on in, and I'm so far from even starting this, but I'm going to do it just for fun. Some mono zero and pull out some highlights. The hair just needs to be so much darker. I shouldn't even be mucking with highlights right now, but it's fun. Oh my God, that's how short my pencil is right now. Thank God I have this pencil extender. I need to get a new pencil from, not for this live stream, for my drawing this afternoon. All right, have a good week, okay? I appreciate you sticking with me for all this time. Maybe I'll see you next Tuesday. Just want to make this fairly solidly dark. Lashes a little bit more pronounced. The only thing that stinks about doing the live streams is I never have time to finish the drawings because welcome from India, welcome. And I have to start another drawing in another 2 hours. Okay, Karen, will do. Thank you so much. I know, I know, I know. The hair is very cool though, isn't it? It like I need to shade this. Like this is a shading exercise. It's survival of the carpal tunnel syndrome, for sure. So this just I'm telling you, like the darker you draw the hair, the prettier the portrait's gonna look because it's like a design element. The hair, it's really design, and it's really gonna make the drawing look amazing if you really take the time to shade the hair. I'm being so minimalistic with everything. This is a little darker over here. I can't get much more of a sharper point on this pencil, so I definitely need to retire this pencil. A couple loose strands of hair would be very good as a softener. Gosh, yeah. Lots of shading here. Now, you could take a different tact and just go really dark on the edge of the hair, um, and then a little bit more in the center, keep it a little bit lighter. There's lots of shortcuts that you could do, but totally make no mistake about it. The darker you go with the Jordan's hair, the better it's going to look for sure. Her eye is a little. I think she's looking back a little bit. I don't know if I want to take the time to change that right now, but I see it. It's pretty cool. Yeah, just if you're drawing along with me, just go darker with the hair. Darker. If you think it's dark enough, go darker still. Um, yeah, I'm going to give this like 5 more minutes to Strorn, okay? So, Vanderwolf, love the rendering. The shading is, of course, superlative, but the organic geometry of the study is also first rate. Uh, in the most favorable of comparisons, this reminds me of a little of N. Kai Bilal. I appreciate you joining us. I just wish I had more time to finish this drawing because it's a ton of fun to do a drawing like this. It just sometimes you need to have the time to shade, and that is where this drawing thing becomes like a form of like meditation, and you're just lost and you're not really thinking about life, but you're just shading. Maybe you have some music on in the background, and um, like, yeah, that's when it starts to get really fun. And that's what I miss a little bit about drawing, because everything always has to be on like a set time frame. So I teach in the animation department at the School of Visual Arts, which is a great program. But the students in my fourth year, they just really love short drawings. And so, you can only do so much in like a 5 minute drawing, a 10 minute drawing. And so I just miss being able to sit and chill and just hang with the pencil and model and render. And then I don't know, maybe this summer, when I'm not teaching at the college, I'll be able to do some longer stuff. Like I would love to have like a marathon rendering thing on YouTube. That would be really fun, where we actually have like a legit break. Um, and yeah, maybe I'll do something like that this summer, because this is just, I feel as though I'm kind of just getting warmed up, and there's still so much. There's a lot of subtleties with drawing this model, for real, and a lot of different subtleties with the edge of the hair, and it would be fun to really finish it. This afternoon, for members of DTO, we are drawing another gritty guy with a beard. Um, it's going to be fun. It's a little bit more complicated than this particular drawing, um, but and there's really good light and shade on that one, so I'm looking forward to it. This is a good warm up for that. Now, there's other things, and I shouldn't even be doing this right now. I'm going to keep the face light, but you see how I'm holding my pencil like this? I could come in over here and give the front of the face a little bit of a value. Now, I could also, where's my big brush? I can also do that with the residual, let's just call it graphite, even though it's not graphite, that I have on the front of the brush. I could paint with the brush over here, and we could start to model a lot. Like this side of the face, I have it too light. So to turn the face, and then I'd have to go back into the tip of the nose and lighten it. Like over here on the eye, yeah, like there's a lot more we could do on this particular drawing for sure. And man, wouldn't it be beautiful to add like red colored pencil in a negative space? Holy, that would be so much fun. But that's not going to happen. We're just about done. We're going to end at 12, high noon, 12 noon. We've got like 3 more minutes with this. Just work a little bit more on it. Does anybody have any last parting questions before we call the live stream complete and I go to actually get a haircut before my next class? Although the woman who cuts my hair was 8 months pregnant the last time I went there, so I don't know if she's going to still be there. So listen, if you haven't liked the video, I'm going to be a YouTuber now. If you haven't liked the video, maybe you want to click the thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. It would help me immensely. And lastly, If you would like to become notified as when I do these live streams so you can ask me questions and get some free drawing tips, maybe click on the bell to get notified. And for sure, if you want to learn more about what I do, click in the link in the description. And yeah, awesome. Thank you, everybody. Here's a question. What is a fast and efficient way to practice values every day when you haven't got a lot of time? Sure. Um, get a value scale. If you cannot get a value scale or you don't have the money for a value scale, this is half of one. I cut it. Um, go to Home Depot or Lowe's and make a value scale with black and gray paint samples and put this thing on your paper. Let me put this thing on your paper, and next to it, I'm working over here in the bottom right, match the value. Now, you're going to try to match the value with your pencil, right? But now we're dealing with all the tooth of the paper. So you need to squint. And what is also helpful is a brush if you want to get rid of the tooth of the paper and make it more solid. So now when I squint at that, you have to squint at it. That is a great way, and you practice all the values. And that's a great way to do this. Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging with me in today's live stream. Let me switch cameras here to say goodbye to y'all. And yeah, thank you so much. I wish I would have had more time to finish this one for you. It probably needs like another hour of work if I really was going to add more of the collar of the shirt, maybe another 2 full hours. I would like to do some more loose strands of hair, some more highlights in the hair. That would really make it so fun. But thank you so much for joining me here today. Thank you, Paul. Make sure you post your artwork to your Instagram. I haven't been on Instagram. YouTube's really my thing. When I go on Instagram, it's just a big life distraction for me. But yeah, post up, and I'll check your stuff out for sure. All right. That's all I got for you, people. Thank you so much. And I'll see you next Tuesday at 10 a.m. New York time. Be good.